I've been playing with an old manual typewriter. It's a bit of fun. It's got that little old tipper. Made in the Netherlands, it is. A bit of the old analogue world. In fact, I've had quite a bit of fun changing the ribbon. I bought a ribbon for about £3.50. Didn't know that the ribbons still existed, that you could get them. It is quite funny because I gather that you can still get old cine film for cine cameras, those people who like Super 8. Some of the old analogue world stuff is still available. There are enthusiasts all over the place that still make, distribute, sell, repair these things. And I think it's just absolutely fantastic. So I can sit here and type away, bash on the old typewriter, the best of my ability to write. Of course, you can't then immediately email this to a bunch of friends. It is a one-off copy. You could have to get the old carbon copy. Do you remember the old carbon copies that you used to put in there? I hadn't been typing anything terribly seriously because I wanted to make sure that the ribbon was in the right place. So I've just been having a little bit of fun with the carriage return, the little bell, remembering how you set it all up. And I used to write stuff on this, scripts and things back in the day, and it was just great fun. And of course, computers came along, made the whole word processing thing a lot easier in some respects, and you could copy and correct. I don't have any Tipex or liquid paper that you used to do. And of course, the whole experience is so different because you're actually having to use your fingers in a lot stronger way. And I love that. However, would I spend ages relearning how to do this when it's so quick and easy? I don't know. I'm considering writing a book. And I did wonder, you know, being stuck inside, I've been stuck inside doing my interviews and doing these monologues behind artificial light and things like that. And I thought, well, wouldn't it be great to be able to take a portable typewriter like this out and about in the van on a nice day, perhaps in the spring when it's a bit warmer, and sit outside, because it's very difficult with a laptop to sit outside. You can't see the screen. We want to get the vitamin D, don't we, and get nice and healthy as much as we can. But I have this, I suppose it's this sort of image of people like P.G. Wodehouse sitting outside with a Pimm's over here and a pipe over there, bashing away gaily a novel. And I suppose in my mind that's it, with a big pile of papers and making all the corrections. And then you retype it, or you get somebody else to retype it, you know, a secretary to put out to do your words. It may be just a fantasy, but isn't it something? There's something rather special about that sort of fantasy, isn't it? That the old analogue way. We've been so moved into this digital way very incrementally, and it's been advantageous to us in lots of different ways. But now, you see, I'm absolutely swamped with emails. People email in at the drop of a hat. If people had to write to me in the old-fashioned way, either with a typewriter or by hand, I can bet you bottom dollar if they had to pay to send those emails in, they would be much fewer and far between. And I think sometimes that's pretty good, because to sit there and try and answer all the emails is become something that you start to... I don't mind answering emails for people. Of course, I think it's absolutely amazing, and it's very humbling that people want to write to me. But when, as the show has become more popular, it then starts to be a whole day of just trying to catch up and read the emails, and then you miss some, and somebody says, oh, I emailed you, and I say to them, did I reply? I said, no, you didn't. I said, oh, I'm really sorry. And some people, of course, think that I'm some form of agony aunt, which I'm definitely not. I'm still questioning and learning, and people will write to me and say things like, oh, my children are being taken away. What should I do? Or I've got to appear in court tomorrow. What would you advise? And I think, my goodness, I have no idea. I don't know the circumstances. I don't know the story. I haven't seen both sides of the argument. What can I advise? And then they'll say, well, who, put me in touch with a barrister or put me in touch with one of your legal people that comes on the show. And it's like, well, they have websites, and we always put, if they want to be contacted, we always do that. So, so the modern technology has made communication so easy. And sometimes you just think, oh, if I only had half a dozen letters to open and dear Michael, thank you so much for your letter dated the 30th of July, 1872. It's very kind of you to have written to, and you go back just to a few of those and pop them in the post or send a postcard. It is quite tricky. But there is something, is there not? I mean, that I now smoke my pipe, which in a way is, it is a sort of an analogue thing from the old days, the typewriter, playing around with this, spending time fathoming out how the ribbon, a fresh ribbon, goes in. But there are other things that I'm very keen now to do. I'm very keen, as you know, to get on the land and do some farming, some growing, getting the hands into the ground and reconnecting with the earth, having some animals, cows, pigs, bees, chickens, those sort of things. But also other things I would like to do. I smoke my pipe, as you know. I would like to make my own pouch, a leather pouch. In fact, I'd like to have a go at making some shoes, cobbler's shoes, and getting the leather and stretching it and all of that. Getting back to working with my hands. I just find that we give away all the skills to other people. Yet we have the resource of YouTube, which is an amazing resource to show us how to do a lot of things. Another thing that I would love to do, let's light my pipe. How delightful that is. Another thing I would like to do is to get into pottery. I would love to have a spinning wheel and some clay. Again, it's that connection with the earth. And then with the clay, make those pots, and cups and saucers and make my own stuff. I looked at some, I was luckily to inherit some nice quality plates and saucers and cups and things. And some of them have broken over the years. And I thought, well, how much is it to replace? And to get a proper good quality one, quite expensive. You can go to, some of the cheaper places and get them. But I thought, well, I want something that is actually meaningful to me. Why can't I make them? Make them on a potter's wheel or have a go. It's only clay. Okay, you've got to glaze it and fire it and those sort of things, which might be a bit of a problem. But once we've got the land, and maybe it's possible to make a brick kiln, fill it with charcoal and get it up to the right temperature. I don't know too much about it, but I'd love to have a go at doing some of these old-fashioned things. It is that business of getting back into the analogue world. It speaks to me. And I think young people coming up who have no notion, everything is swipe to the left, swipe to the right, it all press screen, it's all done by magic. Music comes down, we don't have LPs, perhaps a few specialist people will have vinyls and things and a needle and they like the wow and flutter of the music, but most people are streaming. These things just seem to come to us like magic. And you can't work out. When I type on here and the keys all get mangled up like that, you go, oh, I've been typing too fast, too furiously, and you've got to pull them apart. And you can see how the keys actually come up and bash through the ribbon onto the paper. It is something that is from my childhood days, my formative years, and it has some meaning to me. And I do. When I found this in a collection of stuff from my dad, so I inherited this from my dad, it suddenly started to talk to me in a way that I don't quite fully understand, that sort of pull back, that understanding of what we had in the old days where things were mechanical, you could see how they were, you and the machine were working in harmony instead of in this sort of virtual reality that we're all being pushed. So I'm wanting to do more of that. And on that note, I just want to add really to this video that as we get into November, I think I'm still booked up in November with interviews with very interesting people, but I'm going to cut back the interviews Julia and I want to get on the land. We need to find some land. We need to be able to buy some. We'd like to build on it if we can and face the problems with those people that don't like you building on the land and say that you need to ask permission. I mean, how long ago has that been a thing? And that we need to get our hands in the soil. We need to grow stuff. We need to be self-sufficient as much as we can and trade and work with other people who want to be self-sufficient. So we may do raw milk and pigs and some veg. Somebody else may do different things, and we can trade. And I think that out there it's possible with like-minded farmers who don't want to sell out to the solar panels or to the wind farms, who would like to encourage that their land, as they are the custodians of the land, is used for agricultural purposes, for feeding people, for sustaining life in a healthy organic fashion. They may rent part or sell little chunks of farmland to like-minded people who want to get back, because I feel more than anything that we need thousands of small farmers rather than this industrial scale farming. And then, as well as that, people like potters and leather makers, cobblers, blacksmiths, those old professions, if you like, those old family-run things back in the analogue way, instead of the corporate takeover that we're seeing with the big corporations who are buying up all the little families and getting them out the way so that they can put their nasty big corporate dead entity stamp all over the place and then bring everything down to the lowest common denominator. Bring back all those wonderful, diverse little businesses that we once had, where people could do things with their hands, typing stories, poems, lyrics for songs, whatever it may be. Maybe even old-fashioned printers who print these things and distribute them in a much more smaller way. So we're not reliant on these corporations doing it all for us. Yes, it might be a little bit more expensive, but it seems to me that the fun has gone out of professions, of making crafts and things. The fun has disappeared. This is just a bit of fun, isn't it? It's enjoyable. You may not think so, and to maybe a youngster who's never sat at a typewriter before ever thought, hang on a minute, this is just so weird. But it's a bit of fun doing something that you are part of. It's not all done by machine or, as is coming down the pipe very fast, AI. So I say, get your sheet of paper, stick it in a typewriter and start bashing out. Make a list of the things that you would like to do, things that perhaps we've forgotten that we could do. Thank you so much for watching.